They were not born monsters, they were made, cursed to walk as men and to hunt as beasts. Their story is older than memory and far from over. Throughout the centuries, humanity has feared the beast within. Legends tell of men cursed to shed their skin beneath a full moon, their bodies torn and remade, their minds lost to hunger and bloodlust. This is the tale of the werewolf, a creature born not only from myth, but from the darkest parts of ourselves. Long before the modern image of the howling half-man beast emerged, tales of human-animal transformation roamed across continents. In ancient Greece, the story of Lycaon, king of Arcadia, may be the earliest. According to myth, Lycaon dared to test Zeus by serving him the flesh of a sacrificed child. Enraged, Zeus struck him with a lightning bolt and cursed him to become a wolf, cursed to stalk the wild in punishment for his cannibalism. In this tale, the werewolf is a moral warning. Not simply a monster, but a human who has crossed a forbidden line, committed a crime so unnatural that nature itself turns against him. Similar stories appear in Norse mythology. The Saga of the Volsungs tells of a father and son who discover wolf pelts that grant them the power to transform. But the gift comes at a price. They are consumed by savagery and violence, and the son nearly dies at the hands of his own father. In these myths, the wolf form magnifies what already lurks in the human soul. But these tales weren't just symbolic. In early Europe, the belief in werewolves was deadly serious. One of the most notorious cases was that of Peter Stubbe, a German farmer accused of transforming into a wolf and murdering over a dozen people. In 1590, he was executed after a gruesome trial in which he confessed under torture to practicing black magic, consorting with the devil, and wearing a wolf belt that gave him the power to change shape. His confession was widely circulated, feeding the werewolf panic in Germany and beyond. Stubbe was not alone. In parts of France, Switzerland, and the Holy Roman Empire, dozens were executed for lycanthropy. Their trials paralleled the witch hunts of the time, and in some cases, the accusations were nearly identical, consorting with evil, shape-shifting nocturnal activity, unnatural appetites. Scholars like Johannes Dillinger and Hans-Peter Brödel have argued that werewolf trials were not simply about superstition, but about controlling social deviance, reinforcing religious authority, and projecting communal fears onto outsiders. The medical world, too, tried to explain these beliefs. In the 19th and 20th centuries, doctors began diagnosing cases of what they called clinical lycanthropy, a rare psychiatric condition in which individuals believe they can transform into animals. Others pointed to rabies, which causes aggression, hydrophobia, and fits of madness, all eerily similar to werewolf lore. Still others suggested hypertrichosis, a condition that causes abnormal hair growth, as a possible inspiration for werewolf myths. Werewolf legends also played a role in Norse warrior culture. The berserkers, frenzied fighters who donned bear or wolf skins, were said to be possessed by the spirit of the beast, entering a trance-like state of superhuman strength and savagery. The Ulfhednar, specifically associated with wolves, were elite warriors who believed they could channel the wolf's ferocity in battle. These warriors blurred the line between ritual transformation and lived experience, showing that the mythic and the real were deeply entwined. In medieval France, a poet named Marie de France wrote a story called Bisclavret. It tells of a nobleman cursed to transform into a wolf, but unlike most werewolves, Bisclavret retains his honor and his humanity. He does not harm others. Instead, he hides in the forest, waiting for the chance to return. When his wife discovers his secret, she betrays him, stealing the clothing he needs to regain his human form. Without it, he is trapped in the body of a beast, yet even then, he remains loyal and self-controlled. In time, he is recognized by a noble king and eventually restored. The tale reminds us the true danger lies not in the wolf itself, but in those who would take advantage of its vulnerability. This tale, unlike many, shows the werewolf not as a monster, but as a victim of betrayal and a symbol of loyalty and identity. Werewolf stories aren't limited to Europe. In Navajo tradition, there is the legend of the Skinwalker, a witch who can transform into animals, most often wolves or coyotes. These beings are not creatures of instinct. They are powerful and feared, said to use dark rituals to move between the world of humans and beasts. In French-Canadian folklore, there's the Loup-Garou. It's a shapeshifter often tied to sin, broken taboos, or old rural superstitions. In Haiti, the creature is known as the Lougawou, a blood-drinking sorceress who can shed her skin and fly through the night, sometimes described as a fiery light, sometimes as an animal. The Lougawou stalks villages under the cover of darkness, feeding on the vulnerable. She is not just a beast, but a feared figure of betrayal and hidden power. Yet not all shapeshifters are evil. In Irish mythology, werewolves sometimes served as protectors. The tale of the people of Ossery tells of a tribe that could transform into wolves at will. Though feared, they were also seen as guardians of sacred land and tradition. In many cultures, the ability to become an animal was a mark of power, not a curse, but a gift. By the time the 20th century arrived, the werewolf had shifted from a feared figure in village folklore to a tragic symbol on the silver screen. The 1941 film The Wolfman introduced a new version of the legend, one shaped by inner torment and inevitability. Now the curse was not just physical, it was psychological. The beast emerged not just beneath the full moon, but in moments of fear, grief, or rage. Later stories only deepened that theme. Some werewolves were loners, hiding from society. Others were caught in violent transformation, forced to choose between humanity and instinct. The myth had evolved, but its message remained. No matter how civilized we appear, something wild still waits beneath the surface. Even today, the werewolf remains a powerful figure in books, films, and games. The creature has taken many forms, from cursed outsiders to reluctant predators. In paranormal fiction, werewolves often symbolize hidden strength, suppressed rage, or transformation through suffering. Sometimes they are feared, other times they are romanticized, reclaiming control or embracing what the world calls monstrous. Whether in ancient myth or modern fantasy, the werewolf still speaks to a primal truth, that we are not as tame as we pretend to be. The werewolf, like the vampire, is a mirror. It reflects our fear of losing control, of becoming something unrecognizable. It warns us that the boundary between man and beast is thinner than we like to believe. And it asks, what happens when the animal is set free? And so the legend endures. In every dark forest, in every full moon, there is still the whisper that something wild moves through the shadows. Not a monster, but a human, transformed by rage, grief, or guilt. A creature that reminds us that the beast within is never far from the surface. There's an old story from the Cherokee people of North America. A grandfather tells his grandson that inside every person there are two wolves. One is anger, envy, and destruction. The other is compassion, humility, and love. The boy asks, "Which one wins?" The grandfather replies, "The one you feed." In every werewolf legend, from the blood-soaked hills of Europe to the shadowed deserts of the Navajo, that battle rages on, between man and monster, between what we are and what we could become. This was the first time I've told one of these stories in my own voice. If it resonated with you, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're curious what else lurks in the shadows of myth, you know where to find me.